All right, so I'm gonna demo some of these are all older designs because I've been busy doing this stuff. But I'm gonna start with the phase displacement oscillator, which is a analog core VCO, very similar to the Spectrum sawtooth wave, but it has a digital wave shaper. So instead of using just analog circuitry, there's an analog to digital converter, a microcontroller, and a DAC on the output. You get 4 individual outputs that can be any waveform, sine wave, square wave with PWM, sawtooth, whatever you want, and they can all be different at all the same time. So there's your waveform selected. Now, the reason there's 4 outputs isn't just to have 4 waveforms. It's because you can arbitrarily set the phase offset between each of the outputs. So this is number 2, which has a phase control. Number 1 is kind of the master, and it doesn't have any phase offset control. So this is offsetting the phase, and that's kind of gives you a pitch shifting effect. Similar to frequency modulation. There's an FM input, but the problem with FM is that when you modulate and you flatten out, you hit 0 on the frequency, you end up going out of tune. So on this, when you flatten out, it doesn't affect the original frequency. So you can modulate it much harder than you could on a FM input oscillator. So what you can do also is kind of the style of synthesis which was made famous by the CZ Casio keyboards and the Yamaha DX7 is phase modulation. Their FM is all digital. So you take an output of the first channel and you fold it, run it into the next phase input, and you end up with a wave folding that's stable. And that's where it craps out. That's where it starts to get harsh. That's the top of the amount of wave folding you can do. If you want to go more than that, you go to the next oscillator.
If you're doing that with just the module, without the expander, you have to patch that.
You have to patch it. That's why I'm patching it here. Yeah. And so you could run that through a VCA, which will give you control over that. And it's one of the interesting things about this is those kinds of sounds. So we added this expander module, which is the Triple Bipolar VCA, which has internal patching between the 2 modules on the underside. And so you flip the modulation switches to jack, from jack to mod or both, and it'll look at both the Triple Bipolar VCA and the jack inputs. So now it's flipped to both, so you have control right here. And then what you can do with that is, let's pull. So it gives you that kind of wavefolded type effect, whereas this is just the primary oscillator. So, and it can get as intense as you want it to. from.
What were you doing? What was that then? What
was?
That was a nice patch. That, wasn't it?
Just multi-mode envelope controlling the amount of. So this is the signal.
What wave is he using there? Is it
sine wave?
Just sine on sine.
Yep.
Does it remember the waves when you power it down? Someone was asking me this the other day.
No, it doesn't.
No, I didn't think.
No. That was something I kind of never thought to do.
No.
So, because there's only really 4 settings, you just need to remember what your settings were.
Just
but
what waves.
I'm thinking about doing another firmware version, and then. Well, making people reprogram it. Yeah, because there's no bootloader on this. It'd be a little difficult to have people do at home, but it could be done. I'll send the firmware out to people. Yeah. So, but then it'll be a minor upgrade. So this is the signal that's controlling. So it's just a lightly VCA'd modulator. And if you want to listen to that, you can run it through the next channel. So to get some VCA output from it to simplify. So
it's nice when you fade because you can CV it so that you fade between the internal modulation and some external modulation that might not even be at the same pitch.
Right.
It's quite nice.
So from here, and that's with the triple bipolarness, you like using the other side. Yes. So what I'm going to do first, this is going to be a little bit complicated. So this is feeding the same channel through a filter into itself.
Trombone. That's a bit of trombone.
Yeah.
French horn and trombone, isn't it?
From out of nowhere, trombone.
So this is the normal routing of it.
Yeah, I like all that.
So this is fading between the two and turning up the CV. And playing with the.
That's nice,
So would you patch, if you haven't got this VCA, you've got another VCA, how would you patch that to make that sound? You have
To make
patch it
this
from there.
to make this sound is a little bit complicated. So if we get rid of the filter, that was to demonstrate the 2 sides because this is really 6 VCAs.
Right, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It swings between 2 different ones.
Yeah.
Yep. To do something with a normal VCA that does the phase modulation, I'm going to use this digital VCA and just use it as a normal VCA.
Okay.
So take output 1 into the input, take the output into the phase CV input, and then you need some sort of control signal. And then we need to find our output. I'm holding it.
So you can definitely do a big chunk of it. It's just some of the more really complex stuff. It's just easier and more immediate with the triple bipolar, and you also can do the swinging from like one modulation source to another equally easily and quickly with it.
Yep.
It's not essential, but certainly having a number of VCAs, I would say, is essential to use it to its fullest.
Right.
To get that kind of dynamic morphing sound, you need VCAs. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
that's one thing it can do really well with the sort of CZ type phase modulation stuff. You can get like bass sounds that are basically, instead of being a sine wave and it being quite sort of whistly sounding but low, obviously, you get that slight harmonics that make it sound plucky, almost like a bass guitar, and it cuts through the mix loads better than just a straight sine.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I use a plugin as well for that sort of thing, ReFX Plastics, which is based on the CZ and stuff, and yeah, that could definitely do that same sort of thing.
Yeah. So you can also use a secondary oscillator. I'm going to use one of these because it's going to be possible, because they're both on. Sorry.
It's a classic WMD sound.
Yeah. So I'm going to use a second oscillator as the. Let's see. I'm going to pull this. And run this into the phase CV input.
Yeah, love it. It's almost like oscillator sync or something.
If I ran, let's see.
And that's just droning on, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just, and this is constant, and we're listening to the direct output is why that's kind of
sweet. So it doesn't destroy the pitch too much, does it?
It won't
sort of
destroy the
adds
pitch at all.
like extra, but it adds a sort of extra pitch, but like it's almost like when you've got a wah-wah and you set it to one, you set it to drone on at one kind of frequency. It's that kind of effect.
right.
It's good.
Yeah, that's the thing about phase modulation. If you ran this same input into the FM,
Yeah. All over.
it goes totally out of tune.
Which is fun sometimes. But
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But this is very musical.
That's a great clarinet sound.
Yeah, you can get very plucked kind of.
Yeah. So that's the basis of this, and that's just with the sine waves. It gets the sine wave is kind of my favorite because it gets really hairy as soon as you change to something else.
Yeah, although I did find a particular combination that was amazing sounding. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't a combination of ways that you would expect to produce a particularly musical result, but it did.
Right.
I had to write it down because it was like, oh, wow. Because I always imagined you'd start off with the first channel on sine, the next one maybe on the side or the triangle or something like that, and gradually get more gnarly. But I think I'd done it the opposite way round or something, and it did something really cool.
Yeah, this is this. I think it's sine of sine, so it gives you amplitude. It's kind of a sine that flattens out at a point, modulating a sine wave.
Is there like a unipolar one as well? There's almost like a dome shape.
Yeah, there's a dome shape. That's a dome shape as a modulator.
And it's great as an LFO this, and you can almost use it as like an envelope and stuff if you set it right, because it resets like a trooper, so you can trigger it and reset it and do rhythmic stuff with it.
Right.
And you can offset the phase of the 4 channels, so they're all putting out different shaped LFOs. Some of them putting out like sawtooth, some of them are going up like ramps or.
Yeah, if you use it as a modulator, and it's a little bit difficult because this is not at all a performance system.
I mean, I quite often use it just as an LFO.
Yeah, just as an LFO, you have control over when the start point of each modulator or each oscillator is from positive 360 to 0 to negative 360 degrees. So 2 full phase ranges of control.
And tweaking them also affects how clean you can get it when used audio rates. Just tweaking them very slightly affects how clean the actual kind of.
It's digital-ish, so there's a little bit of a glitch.
that can be quite a cool effect in itself.
Yeah, so this is the cleanest one, which is channel 1. And it starts to harsh out about there.
You can get some mental sounds if you
Yeah.
modulate up into that
Yeah.
and out of it again.
Yeah, exactly. So it has a 92 kilohertz sample rate, so it's pretty good up until about 5 kilohertz. Until
I've
it
never
starts to get pretty
noticed
harsh.
it like
Yeah.
do anything nasty in normal use, except when I've deliberately
Right.
made it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's another expansion for it. It's the quad anti-aliasing filter, which is 4 independent shared frequency 4-pole low-pass filters that will help you with aliasing if you want. So if you really need perfect sine waves.
But I've never had one, and I've never particularly felt like, oh, it's desperately needs it kind of thing.
Right.
So it's-
Exactly. Yeah, I
Definitely
tell
check it
people
out.
unless you really, really need it, it's not necessary. But there's some really cool patches you can do when you feed the output of that back in
yeah.
to it, similar to the kind of the squelchy sort of thing where you feed this. Any filter will work for it.
So what are you doing? You're sending the output of the
I'm-
modulator through the filter and then back in.
I'm sending its own self. So this is output 2 running into a filter, running back into phase mod 2, so it's creating a feedback loop.
All right. Let's try that.
So if you
Then you modulate that. Is that self-oscillating the filter or something, or is it?
no, it's just
Alright.
the output of the filter
Well, it's nice and cool.
sounds like this. Not much going on.
No.
Distorting a little bit. And then the output of the oscillator is a lot harsher.
So what are we listening to? What's the final output when we're listening?
Final output, this is the raw oscillator output.
Right.
And that doo-doo is the filter unstable resonance. Because it's distorting.
Yeah, it's a nice soft tone, doesn't it, with the resonance line?
Yeah. Different modes. High pass gives you just noise.
Savage noise.
Yep. So, and then changing that's a sawtooth wave, modulating itself.
Big range of sounds in it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of these modules that might not necessarily blow you away immediately, but then you spend like a few hours with it, and
You need to.
like,
It
fine.
takes some like feedback patching to really get interesting sounds out of it. If you just listen to the outputs and then run it through a filter, make it a standard subtractive patch, it's super boring. It doesn't do anything interesting at all. It needs some explanation and some creative patching to get a lot.
I mean, I didn't use any feedback patches in any of them demos I did. I mean, that's something I need to check out, or maybe I did and I can't remember it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely got some proper mental sound out.
Yeah,
of
Then
that's
you get some nice, pleasant, tuneful sounds by just using different envelopes on the different.
Yeah, I mean, you can have
Yeah,
three
adding-
different-
Yeah, like additive again.
yeah. Adding in another modulator.
It's nice having, like, say, a load of random gates triggering envelopes at random points and using the different envelopes to bring in the different phase modulation. Are you off? Oh, nice.
You can get as crazy as you want.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. Oh, that was good. What was that?
Oh, well, that's all right.
Bonkers.
I only have one envelope on this side of the system, so. So, yeah, some of the stuff you can do just with a simple feedback patch.
Slow it down,
what are you
slow
doing?
it down a lot and extend the envelope times.
Yeah, so you can hear it
Some
shaping it.
shapes, yeah.
Shiny. Yeah, I got some really good sort of bell-like kind of stuff out of it.
Yeah.
Like the droney recordings a bit. It's really fun just feeding like 6 different modulation sources into it and having them all gradually like morphing in and out. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.